I try, bro.
What's what's
Can you
good,
hear
bro?
me?
Yeah, I hear you. You good?
Yo,
What's going?
man. Well, today is free one free day.
Yes.
So I wanted to go. Uh, the Pistons they're doing the Jay Dilla merch
Yeah.
capsule,
Okay.
but there's one hoodie that you can't get. You can't buy online.
Right.
So I actually went to Little Caesars Arena because I work not too far from there,
Uh-huh.
and I just asked, yo, I don't have a ticket to the game. All I want to do is just buy the Welcome to Detroit Jay
Right.
Dilla white hoodie. And
Okay.
one of the security guard was like, yo, you're going to have to buy a ticket.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking to myself, no, I'm not doing that because the hoodie is like $100 already.
Mm-hmm.
So if I buy a ticket, that's what another. That's like $200.
Right.
As much as I support the cause, supporting the estate of Jay Dilla, that's too rich for my blood. You know,
Right.
so so I came from Little Caesars Arena, got something to eat. Then
Nice.
I'm looking at Sports Center, and I see uh, uh, Robert Kennedy Jr.
Mm-hmm.
is thinking of making Aaron Rodgers his vice president
Mm-hmm.
candidate,
Yep.
and then supposedly Aaron Rodgers said in private that he believes that the Sandy Hook shooting was all false.
Oh boy.
So this was all staged.
I don't even know what I just heard that this morning about him running for vice president. I don't even know what to say to that because clearly he not his mind is not on football right now. You know what I'm saying? It's more on politics and what I think the Jets are in trouble. I think the Jets are in trouble and they need a quarterback.
I'm looking at. I'm thankful for Jared Goff. I'm thank like I've been following the Lions since I was 10.
Right.
I don't seen the Scott Mitchells, the Joey Harringtons, the um, uh, so many bad quarterbacks year after year, and I'm thankful that there's enough. I'm thankful that the New York Jets they are where the Lions have historically been.
16.
Like,
What's good? Salute 16 bars. Go follow his channel on YouTube every Thursday night, 8 p.m. That's the homie. 16, I got the link. If you want to join us, I'll send you the link. Just let me know. My bad. I just wanted to say that.
oh yeah, I'm like uh, you being a Giants fan.
Uh-huh.
I'm interested in your take because one, thankfully, they're not in your conference,
Right.
but just wanted to get your take on seeing a seeing a New York team have all of these scandals, all of these problems,
Hmm.
one after the other.
Man, that's just New York. That just comes with the territory and the media. I think that's really what scares a lot of athletes from coming to the city because they know the paparazzi and the media is totally different here. And I'm not. I can't say that I'm too surprised about Aaron Rodgers because I mean this is. It seemed like this is something that he would do. He loves the spotlight, and what bigger place than New York City to get that type of attention? But at the same time, it's like it takes away from the Jets' upcoming season because you're running for vice president, and You have the draft is coming up. You have things that the Jets need on that team. Like, what type of team are they planning on rolling out in September with Aaron Rodgers? We still don't know if he's 100%. Like, we saw him, during the season, rehabbing. What is his status going into next season? You know what I'm saying? And for me, I think as far as the Jets, that they need another quarterback, because if Aaron Rodgers takes another snap and he should snap his Achilles again, then there goes their season. So I think they need another quarterback. I don't know if I would go through the draft. I think Justin Fields, really, they need to go after him. Like, he has so much potential, and it's really surprising that the market right now is very low for him. I'm really shocked by that. 'Cause I thought for sure a lot of teams would be lining up to get him, because I do think he has potential. I think he was in the wrong system in Chicago, but I think if I was the Jets, I would be on the phone with his agent ASAP. Like, yo, what can we give Chicago to get this guy over here and put him in the right system? Because they got the weapons. They got Gary Wilson. They got Brees Hall. They got Alan Lazard. They have a squad. Their defense really kept them in a lot of games last season. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Zach Wilson was horrible, but their defense was that good that it kept them in a lot of games that they probably would have gotten blown out. But if I was them, I would be on the phone with Justin Fields' agent and be like, yo, let's get this guy on this roster just in case Aaron Rodgers pulls some shit and be like, yo, like, I'm done with football. I'm going into politics, because that's where it's heading. Like, I saw that this morning on ESPN that he's running for vice president. I'm like, where the hell? Where did this come from? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm not surprised, because Aaron Rodgers loves the spotlight. He dated actresses in Hollywood before. You know what I'm saying? Olivia Munn, that was one of his exes. You know what I'm saying? He loves the spotlight. The minute he came to New York, he was everywhere. He was at all the Knicks games and throwing his face around the city. So I'm not surprised. But where is his mental state right now? If you are like the quarterback for the Jets, you asked to be here, and you're talking about, oh well, he's going to be running for vice president. So just in case he pulls something like that on the front office and be like, yo, like, I'm done with football, they got Justin Fields. Y'all got a talented young quarterback who hasn't reached his full potential yet, that they can develop. You know what I'm saying? As far as the Giants, I love the Giants, but I'm totally against them getting rid of Saquon, because I think Saquon was the guy on offense that got them into the playoffs. What was that, like 2022? Year before last. And they still don't have a receiver. You know what I'm saying? They bought Darren Waller over from the Raiders. He was okay, but he's injury prone. It's like, without Saquon Barkley on that offense, who do you have? Who's next up? Because they have no receivers. They have no. They recently signed Devin Singletary from the Texans. He's okay. He's not great. You know what I'm saying? I told people this before. Like, Daniel Jones should have never got that big contract. He had one good season, and they went off of that one good season, which was his contract year, and they said, "Yo, we're gonna give you 50 million or whatever it was," and he got injured. He's not worth that bag. You know what I'm saying? And I like the moves that they did defensively, because they needed that. But offensively, we suck. And I don't expect them to be competitive next season. And I know, like, supposedly there was some, like, stats they were looking at and talking about how, like, most teams that when they get new signings, doing free agency, that they're like 2 games better. Okay, so we were what, 6 games we won last season, so we're gonna win what, 8 games this season. I just think, like, the Giants right now are rebuilding, and it's a shame that Saquon had to go. That they really should have paid him, because he deserves it, and he came back from a major injury and played great, and now he's with Philly. You know what I'm saying? But salute to them. Philly got their guy, and this is why they were in the Super Bowl, because they make the right moves and they care about winning. Apparently, that went over the head of the Giants front office, but that's my take on those 2 Giants teams. You know what I'm saying? The Lions, salute to y'all. I love the season that the Lions had, and they played great, and that whole city and the fans deserve it. It's been a long time for them, and I really felt like they could have beaten the Niners. Like they had the Niners dead to rights. They just couldn't close out the game in the last couple minutes, but they really should have been in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs.
Do you know how how depressed and angry I was after we lost the NFC title game?
I can imagine.
I couldn't look at Undisputed. I couldn't look at First Take.
Mm-hmm.
All I could do was just actually I taped the NFC title game. You know what I did? Because I'm a glutton for punishment. I looked at every single damn play from the beginning of the second half to the end of the game. Man, Jahmyr Gibbs, God.
They really, you know what it is? I think because they had such a big lead that they kind of took their foot off the gas when they came to the Niners. And you can't do that with the Niners because they such a talented team offensively and defensively that they just, you started to slowly see them come back. And I felt like the Lions really should have won that game. They really, but now they know they have the experience now in the postseason to be like, yo, we going back. We can never blow that lead again. Once we got our foot on the necks of the opponent, we got to keep our foot there. And I think that's what happened. They took their foot off of the Niners' throat, and the Niners just came back. But Lions had a great team, especially at a time when a lot of people wasn't picking them. You know what I'm saying? And then like I want to say like late in the season, I started to see these people on ESPN and Fox Sports started to pick them. And Lions have a good team. They have the pieces. And I think the matchup with Matthew Stafford and the Rams was probably such a grateful, win for Jared Goff because the Rams traded him to the Lions, and I know he was loving that victory. That had to be so great to stick it to Matthew Stafford, like, yo, like, you coming back home, but people don't want you here. You got your ring with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great game to see them beat the Rams at home. And I think they're going to be the favorites next year for the division. I really do.
I feel like this upcoming season for the Lions, I truly feel it's Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah, it has to
Because
be.
you can't, like, I believe in Dan Campbell. In the second half, we were unable to sustain a drive.
Right.
Like, it was free and out. And I remember it was 24. What was it? It was 24-7.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the Niners, they went free and out. No, they didn't go free and out, but they didn't get in our territory, so they punted.
Right.
We get the ball back. We do nothing with it. Then the Niners get it. Then they score a touchdown. It becomes 24-14.
Right.
Then it becomes 24-21.
Yep.
Then they kick a field goal and it ties.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, CJ Gardner, you better do something. Like, you don't talk all of this shit. You don't brag. You said it with your chest, but you're the best corner in the game.
Right.
You better do something and put a hurting on McCaffrey. Because McCaffrey was really hurting us.
He was.
Deebo Samuels.
He was injured. He got injured in that game.
Exactly. And I felt like whatever he was getting, just let him have it. Like, McCaffrey is who we have to stop.
Right.
And we never did. And as far as like the staff when we played the Rams, man, I was so thankful that the referees, they swallowed a whistle.
Right.
when Luka's jersey was pulled, because that would have given them another set of first downs. They would have been in field goal territory.
Right.
Had we held them to a field goal, now we got to score.
Right.
So I was thankful for that. Yo, as far as like the Jets, there's nothing more than I would love for Justin Fields to leave the NFC North and to go somewhere else.
But he's not a threat to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because since the Bears had him, they've been losing. They never went to the postseason with him. He's never but he showed signs of within the right system, he could be just as great as Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. He has it. The
It,
the,
like
the thing is the
mhm.
Chicago Bears coaching staff, like offensively, they wanted to keep him in the pocket. He's not a pocket passer. You know what I'm saying? He has to be mobile. He can throw on the run. The same, whatever, the same. That's like a lot of the quarterbacks now. You have to be mobile and be able to throw on the run, and he can do that. He just needs the right system, and he don't have a lot of weapons. They only bought in, was it DJ Moore or whatever, and that was it. And he had like a decent tight end, but they don't have the running game. They didn't have the running game, and they needed more weapons for him for that team to win in that division. And so he's not a threat to nobody anyway, even in that division.
But in the two games that the Lions played against the Bears, we barely beat the Bears. We
I
lost to them at Soldier Field,
I mean I
and
mean,
we barely beat
but,
them at
but
home.
I'm looking at it like when you look, Mahomes is great, and Mahomes showed why he's the GOAT right now because that Kansas City receiving court was trash. They was trash, and
Facts.
they still managed somehow to go to Buffalo, beat the Bills, go to Baltimore, beat the Ravens, and then go to Super Bowl and beat the Niners. And I was picking the Niners to win by 3. I even said it on here, and it ended up being the Chiefs by 3. But Mahomes is the GOAT. But I'm saying, like, in this era now, when you have CJ Stroud, when you have Tua from Miami, when you got Josh Allen, you have those are all mobile quarterbacks. You got to be able to run and throw the ball while on the run too. And just keeping Justin in the pocket, that was the Bears' downfall. You know what I'm saying? But I think with him being on the right team in the right system, he can be just as great as Mahomes. I really see that.
And you made a good point. If Justin Fields like went to the Jets would like the coaching staff, they would actually coach and they would coach him to his strengths.
Yes,
Like like they wouldn't put him in mass protect.
right.
You know where
Because
where the protection is going to hold up and he's going to be flat on his back.
right,
Like if you can use Justin Fields and use him on rollouts and get him to go through his reads and if there's nothing there, then let him improvise.
right.
But he never got that opportunity.
He and they have the weapons too, mind you. They got receivers that Aaron Rodgers wanted on that team when he got there. Even the tight end, Mercedes Lewis, that was his tight end in Green Bay. He wanted Mercedes Lewis on that team. All of those receivers, and he asked for Dalvin Cook. They got Dalvin Cook, even though he left and went to the Ravens. That's who Rodgers wanted on that team. So all of those receivers were handpicked by Aaron Rodgers. So they got weapons. They just need a healthy quarterback, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or somebody else. It wasn't Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, you could tell that he don't have it, at least not right now, from what he's showing. And this has been the downfall for the Jets for a very long time. When they had Sam Darnold, same thing with him. Now Darnold signed a contract with Minnesota for I think it was
Mm-hmm.
like a 1 year deal or whatever. So they got him now, and he still ain't the same from college. You know what I'm saying? When Pennington was here, he had issues too. Mark Sanchez, same thing with him. And I watched Mark Sanchez when he was in USC, and he was a great quarterback. When he come to the Jets, it's a different story. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
they need a quarterback. They desperately need a quarterback. And mm,
I always felt like Herm Edwards was like the scapegoat. Like he was like the person that they just place all of the blame on the Jet struggles on. A lot of that I could see was from the GM, like the
right,
GM's moves.
right.
Like Herm Edwards is not a bad coach, and I'm sick of I'm sick of people talking that way about him.
Mm,
because you know, didn't Herm Edwards leave them to the playoffs? What,
Yeah,
2 years in a row?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so you can't lead teams to the playoffs, especially teams that had not made the playoffs in decades, and then fire him unceremoniously. They
right,
did the same thing with Jim Caldwell here.
right.
It's
But
like
we
with
they
black coaches, man. We
the thing I don't like we living in a win now society. So it's like the minute that you hire a new coach and they don't have a good season, there's already rumors about him in the hot seat. Oh well, he gonna get fired in the second season if he doesn't, take this team to the playoffs or whatever. That I don't like
yeah
because I think especially with a young team that don't have experience, you got to give that the time for the coach to mold the team and get them develop the team to get them ready for the postseason, and they don't do that enough in sports anymore. Where it used to be like that, it's not like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
you know, some Dartmouth asks, is Josh Huff overrated?
Who?
Josh Huff, who the hell is Josh Huff?
I never
I'm,
heard of.
I'm trying to think of if is he a quarterback? Who is Josh Huff? Don't know. He must be overrated. I don't never even heard of the nigga. He must be underrated. But you know, the Lions are definitely. I'm picking them to win that division next year. I think. I don't see no team that's gonna be a threat to them. Green Bay, maybe, and even with Green Bay, they beat Dallas. Okay, I expected that, but
Hmm.
they had the Niners again. The Niners somehow came back, and they really shouldn't have came back from the Green Bay game or the Detroit game. And then in the Super Bowl, Niners had the lead and blew the lead to the Chiefs. And I'm like, yo, like that's something that they're gonna learn from for next year. Like when you're in the Super Bowl and you playing against Mahomes, you cannot blow the lead like that because it was a very close game. And I like the close games, especially when it comes to the Super Bowl and it's not like a blowout game. When it's a close
Yeah,
game and it makes the game more exciting. And that was a close game that either team could have won. But Niners had the lead and they blew the lead. And you would think from their playoff experience from playing the Lions and playing the Packers that they would have learned from that, and they didn't. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like they're on the hot seat too because the last two Super Bowls that they went to, they lost. And you lost to the same team. So
at,
now it's like you're gonna start hearing about next season, their coach is gonna be on the hot seat.
at least with us, we are not like this. Like going to the NFC title game. We haven't been to the NFC title game since 1992 in
Right,
30 years.
right,
The Niners, on the other hand, they've been to the NFC title game 5 years in a row
right.
or something like that.
They've been there, but they lost their last three Super Bowls. Like the Super Bowl that they played against the Ravens, and Joe Flacco had like a great game in that. They lost that one too, and I think that was Kaepernick was playing in that game.
Yeah, that
You know
was
what I'm saying?
2012.
Yeah. So they lost their last three Super Bowls, and the last two to the same team. So you already know their coach is on the hot seat already because they can't go back to the Super Bowl again and lose it with the same coach. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
that they really should have won the Super Bowl this year. 'Cause I had them winning, but I had them winning by 3 points. Instead, it was the Chiefs winning by 3 points.
I'm really hoping that the Lions compete for the number one seed, try to
Right.
get home field advantage throughout because we almost did it.
Yeah.
We almost did it if we weren't screwed by the refs in Dallas.
Hmm.
You know, to this to this day, I'm whether it's 30 years from now, I'm gonna always be mad about the referees screwing us over
You have
uh,
to.
with Decker.
Right, right, and you should. I mean, Um, I remember when the Mets played. I think it was the Cardinals in 2006, and
Hmm.
we had Carlos Beltran. Carlos Beltran. It was like two strikes left. Third strike, he left the bat on his shoulder. He didn't even try to swing for that pitch, and that always pissed me off because that if we had won that game, they could have went to the World Series and win that year. But I always like shit like that. I always remember. So you're gonna be mad about something like that from many years ago.
Exactly, and like and like with with uh with football, man, it's fleeting, man, because
Yeah,
really any sport, especially if you really have a great squad, it's fleeting. Like you never know when it's going to come back.
right.
Like I'm sure like when the Knicks uh went to the finals and they lost to
99.
San Antonio in
Yeah,
'99.
the lockout year. That was the lockout year.
Man, I like I felt for y'all because like damn, if you can't, because I'm thinking, like, tell me if I'm wrong.
Hmm.
If the Knicks could not win the championship in a shortened season,
Hmm.
fewer games, and you're well rested,
Right.
and this was, I think this led to the beginning of the Spurs
But
dynasty.
right.
When is it going to ever happen?
But see, like I'm looking at it like even if we won that, we would always they would always be like the doubters saying, "Oh, well, y'all won in a short year. That don't count." Like,
Really?
y'all let. I mean, because it's like they didn't pick us to win. We were the eighth seed that year, right? I believe that was the year that Patrick Ewing had broke his wrist, if I'm not mistaken, and he came back. No, no, no. I don't think that was the year. It might have been the year before that he had broke his wrist in Milwaukee, and then he came back. That was like during the season, and he came back for the playoffs. But we had to get through Miami, and Miami was like the number one seed, and we beat Miami. I remember that last second shot that Allen Houston made, the layup at the end in Miami, and then we went on to play Atlanta in the second round, and we swept Atlanta. And they had the Dikembe Mutombo, they had Christian Laettner. That was a great Atlanta squad. We beat
Hmm.
them, and then we go to the I think we had to play Indiana in the final round to go to the finals. But even if we had won, it would have been like, oh yeah, but that was a lockout year. You only do it in the real full season. So it still would have been haters, saying that it didn't count. But I
Yeah,
mean, they
I
put up
can
a fight.
imagine like the sports writers
Hmm.
saying like, this was cute, but do it again next year in
Exactly,
order to validate
exactly.
it.
Right, and it would have been harder because 2000 you had Vince Carter in Toronto, you had Allen Iverson in the Sixers. It was Indiana was there. It was just it'd been harder to do that. You know what I'm saying? And you know we had a great squad though. You know what I'm saying? And at least we got the opportunity to feel what it was like to be in the finals and the possibility because once you're in the finals, anything's possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they counted out Cleveland against Golden State, and then Cleveland ends up winning their chip because Draymond got suspended. You know what I'm saying? Because because Golden State was winning that series. And if Draymond didn't get suspended, they would have beaten Cleveland. But Cleveland, they took the opportunity to take advantage of that, and that's what you got to do. If you got if one of their best players on the other team is out, you take advantage of that and try to win it, and that's what they did. You know what I'm
I remember
saying?
that was when Draymond got into like their legs were entangled,
Right.
and Draymond Green he kicked. Did he kick
He
LeBron in the
he kicked,
chest?
yeah, but I mean, but they're gonna focus on Draymond because Draymond attracts that type of attention to himself by the referees. So they're gonna attract that. Anything he do now, they're gonna look at him before they look at the play that he's guarding. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because they know his antics. So yeah, he did something and he got suspended for it, and Cleveland took advantage. And Kyrie and LeBron went off in that game. You know what I'm saying? And they got their chip because of that. But you know, shit, it could have went the other way. Like I said, if Draymond didn't get suspended, the Warriors would have won because they had the Cavs dead to rights in that series.
And Draymond Green, he's not the to me, he's not the of the Warriors championship dynasty. In the seasons that they won the
Right.
title, Draymond was never the best center. Like he's not the most physically imposing. He doesn't block. I don't think he's ever led for most blocks
I mean, but
or even for most rebounds. But
he drink.
he has some value, and
Yes,
whatever that value that he provided, the Warriors missed out.
but Draymond he can play defense. He has the tough mentality. He knows how to get into a player's head. He can shoot the three. He can rebound. He can pass. He can block. He can do everything that you ask him to do. You know what I'm saying? He's a team player. The problem with him is because the league has changed so much. It's not like how it used to be back in the '90s when you had Dennis Rodman and Bill Laimbeer and the quote unquote dirty players. They kind of outruled all of that. So he's like an old school type of player. So now it's like because it's a different era now in ball, they're looking at him like they're zooming in on what he does. Every little play, every little movement he's doing, defending the player, they looking at him first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Even if he should get like a cheap shot from another player, they're gonna be like, oh well, you Draymond, you insinuated that, you started that. That's because of his reputation. So his reputation precedes him now to like he can be guarding somebody, just a regular a regular little movement will cause a technical foul on him, and it's a shame. But this man is a 4-time champion. People got to remember that they didn't become a 4-time champion with him just like doing dirty plays and shit. That's not him. That sometimes he does do that, but for the most part, he's a great defender. And more teams need a Draymond on their team. I wish that like the Knicks used to have that. We had Oakley, we had Anthony Mason, we had Charles Smith. We had Xavier McDaniel. You know what I'm saying? But that was a
even
different
Xavier,
era. Huh?
even Xavier.
Right. That was a different era. But more teams need players that's gonna get down and dirty in the paint to sacrifice their game for a Steph Curry or a Klay Thompson. And that's what he does. And it shows, you know what I'm saying? Because when he was out, they were losing. He's back in the lineup and they're winning. You know what I'm
My
saying? So I think Draymond he just misunderstood because of the today's game. A lot of these cats wasn't around when Oakley and Jordan was out there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different era of ball now.
and my theory is that in the last 20 years, the technology has made it possible where sponsors they can advertise not just on television, they can advertise with streaming apps, they could advertise through social media. So I think the league, like the league office, they have tightened up on defensive players, with as far as like tough defensive moves, that have been outlawed because they want the NBA to be more universal. They want every demographic to look. They want children, they want women, they want all people from different social economic backgrounds to watch.
Uh-huh.
So the game
But
wouldn't be as attractive if if you have your best center, elbowing,
I'm not
players coming into the
I'm not
paint.
saying he needs to go out there every night and try to rip a defender's head off. I'm just saying that they made the game more scoring friendly, where it's not about defense no more. It's more about how many points a player can put up a night. Like, there's no reason why you have players putting up 60 and 70 points on the regular. That shouldn't be happening. It's almost like you're playing a game of 2K. It's they got to get back to the defense as well. Defense wins championships. So I thought when you look at the was it 2004 Pistons, that was a defensive team. They wasn't scoring
Yeah.
130 points a game. You know what I'm saying? Like their bread and butter and their pride was on defense. You know that. That's your home team. Tell me I'm lying. It was all about defense.
I watched that game. I watched those teams religiously, especially when we first got Ben from Washington. He was the first piece. Then we got Rip. Then we got Chauncey.
Right.
And when Rick Carlisle was the coach, his goal was for us to lock down opposing offenses and keep them from scoring 100. If we can keep them scoring 100, we have a fighting chance.
Right.
Because we weren't we weren't great offensively. Like, for example, when you saw Ben Wallace on offense, everybody in the arena would be quiet. It was like a hush silence fell over the crowd because you didn't know if he was going to actually score, if he was going to lay it off for the top of the backboard. And when he would go to the free throw line, it was like, oh my God, it was like a sight for sore eyes.
He was bad at the foul line too. He was terrible.
He was worse than Shaq.
He was bad. I remember that.
And it was so rewarding, man. Yeah. I have to tell you. In 2004, Game 5 of the NBA Finals, the most fun I've ever had cheering any Detroit sports team.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Wallace had 18 points, 20 rebounds. He was guarding Shaq straight up. No help. He guarded Shaq straight up for most of the game.
Right.
And we blew them out by as many as 30 points.
Right.
I don't think that'll ever happen again for a long time. And for, I thought we was going to repeat. I was licking my chops thinking, man, we could, this team could do what the Bad Boys did, in 89 and 90. But I salute the San Antonio Spurs. They had, Robert Horry, there's a reason why he's Robert Horry. He's a deadly shooter. You never leave him open. And then, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. That was a great team. And there's no shame in losing to them. I was disappointed, but man, they gave Pistons fans 2 seasons of fantastic ball to cheer for. We got to the NBA Finals twice. We won one, and now we're the worst team in the league. But I'm thankful that in this century, in the 21st century, I saw the Pistons win a championship. And I'm hoping, the Knicks, will do the same thing one day.
Shout out to Kavase. Shout out to Mike. I saw Reggie here. Shout out to him. 16 Bars said defense games are not exciting for today's viewers, especially with the way sports betting has blown up. But at the same time, it's like, what is the message that you're sending to young kids that are watching basketball that want to play like a Giannis or a Steph Curry or a James Harden, that it's okay to just put up a shitload of points, but you don't got to get back on the defensive end? Because from what I'm seeing, like and the scoring is going up. Like, there's teams winning like 140, 150. Like, what that means, the scoring is going up, and there's less focus on the defense.
And these single game scoring records, they're not going to mean anything, because as long as scoring keeps going up, what's going to keep going up? players are going to continue to score 80, 90 points, a game regularly. So
And if
whenever
you
you
look at
see like
my bad. If you look at a player like Luka Doncic, right? Luka Doncic is a great player, superstar for the Mavs, and he averages like a triple double, but he's terrible on defense. I've seen him. I've seen him where he let players go right by him.
yeah, because
So
he's afraid of picking up a foul.
but no, but I'm saying if you're that focused on scoring, why isn't he that focused on getting back on defense at the other side of the court? He's not great defensively.
And you know who else isn't great defensively?
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry. Like, and when it like being, Steph Curry is not. He's not, Bugsy Modes.
Right.
He's not small like that, but he's not, you know, uh, big or muscular. But there's no reason why Steph Curry can't put more effort on defense. I see, opposing guards just, whoop his ass on screens. Like he'll get fooled on screens, and then he'll get pinned down, and then the opposing player will just go off, putting up 30.
16 said
And then Steph has to match that 30, even score more than 30 to even give the Warriors a chance to win.
16 said if the fans are still paying and filling up the stands, the revenue's all that matters. Most fans don't care about defensive play; they want the flash and pizzazz, and that is the problem I'm seeing with baseball too. They want to speed up the game. It was born to fans. They want the flash and pizzazz, but it's like I thought defense won championships. So now we're saying, oh, it's screw defense. Let's score as many points as we can, and that's how we're gonna win.
Another thing that I thought of is like when I've gone to Little Caesars Arena to see Pistons games,
Right.
a lot of people are not even there to watch basketball. They're there to,
Talk on their phone, which is what
talk
they
on their
do.
phone,
Mm-hmm.
be seen if the TV camera pans to them. They're there for buying all of the merchandise,
Mm-hmm. And the
like
food.
jerseys, the fan memorabilia,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know they don't know who's on the team. They don't know who the best player on the team is. And I saw that up close and personal.
But I think that's for the casual fan. Like they're not heavily invested in the teams, but it's a good ambiance for them. But for the diehard fan, like if I go to Knicks game, I'm focused on the Knicks winning. Like I don't care about the food, and I know how the food gonna taste. I don't need the merch. I already got the merch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm going for to root to cheer for my team so that we can win this game, no matter who it is that we playing. But for the casual fan now, they add so much extra stuff around the game that it's not about the game no more for them. It's more about just vibing out. You see people on their phone, they taking selfies. They might be doing a live stream from the event or whatever. But for the
Yeah.
diehard fan, it's still about the game, I would think.
And I'm the kind of person that I still look at the standings. Like I want to know
Right.
where my team is in relation to the best teams, to the top three teams in the Eastern Conference. Like if like in a especially if it's a divisional opponent,
Right.
I want to win even more, because if you're down, you get to gain more ground.
Right.
And to me, that's the disparity between today's NBA and the NBA from 20 years ago. Because like you said, man, when you go, I'm like me sometimes when I go to games, like just notice, like even like you got grown men that are damn near like putting on a fashion show for
Yep.
I don't know who. Like they'll go to the games looking all flashy. They got everything. They buy damn near everything that the arena sells, and they just be flashing the camera, taking selfies, and wanting to take pictures with any and everybody. That's doing way too much.
Right. I've seen it. I want to ask you this question, but I want to read the comments from Kavase. He said you got to think though. Most of MSG Knicks games be tourists in the stands, not diehard Knicks fans or Knicks fans at all. But that's true. But it's from what I've seen, it's a mix of tourists and diehard Knicks fans that want to see the team win. But you still got those fans that they're more interested in the surroundings and what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So and that
Yeah,
happens at even at I've been to wrestling events where they're not even focused on the match. They're more focused on where the camera's at. They want to see themselves on camera or the big screen or whatever. And that's cool. But it's like at the same time, it's like I'm going for the event at hand. You know what I'm saying? Especially when these tickets cost money. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're
yeah.
getting these tickets for free, these tickets cost a lot of money now. It's like I want to see my team blow these teams out. You know what I'm saying? I don't want it or give me a good close game, but I'm not going for like the ambiance. I'm like I might as well stay home and do that.
Word. And if you and for me, if the Pistons lose, like I'm watching the Pistons right now. But if we
What are you
lose,
playing?
they're playing the Raptors. It's 85-81.
Close game.
But if we lose, I want us to lose because if we do lose, don't lose because you you was you was had defensive lapses. You couldn't rebound.
Right.
You took bad shots. Like if you take the best shot available and you just miss, I can live with that. If you give me your full effort and I see that loss, it it makes you miserable and it hurts you like it hurts me, I can live with that. But don't lose and say things like, well, it's just another game. We got another game tomorrow. That's not good enough for me.
That I want to get to these comments. Okay. 16 boss said I agree with you, but money talks and the plays and the owners are all in agreement. Then he said, think about all the money that plays are making today. Imagine how much they lose out on when they get hit hard on the wrist, hard fouls, kicks to the groin, knocked to the floor multiple times. Players today get hurt if you breathe too hard on them. Yeah, that's another thing. That the load management, that's something I don't like. They need to rule that out because again, it's like the tickets cost so much money nowadays that if you got people that are spending their hard-earned money to go see LeBron play, why is LeBron taking the night off? Especially if he's not injured.
Yeah,
It's one thing if you're injured, then we can't do nothing about that. But if you're not injured, why are you taking the night off? And you got people that might have came from another country just to go to the Lakers game just to see you play, and you in your street clothes.
agreed, agreed. To me, like I think there should be more transparency. Like if you know that if you're injured, at least give a heads up. Because they
Right,
do it for gambling. At least
right,
make it known to the general public that this player will not be playing due to a calf strain or they have back spasms and it's not possible for them to play and not re-aggravate it. Like that would go a long way towards ensuring trust between the general public and the league.
right. I want to ask. There's two questions I want to ask. Dartmouth has said, "Is Kirk Cousins a top 10 QB?" What do you think?
Is Kirk Cousins a top 10
Yeah,
quarterback?
top in the league. I don't think he's top 10. I think he's like maybe top 15.
Yeah, in order to be a top 10 quarterback, you have to have a greater impact on your team's success than what he does,
Right.
especially when in the NFC North, Kirk Cousins, he was third, and he was behind
Right.
Jared Goff, and he was behind Jordan Love. That's not going
Facts.
to cut it
Facts.
because Jared Goff, Jordan Love, to me, they would be in the top 10. Then you got to look at the other teams that's in other divisions.
Right.
You go division by division. I don't see what Kirk Cousins is doing where his play is that much more uh, sufficient and better than what uh, Patrick Mahomes, what Lamar Odom, what CJ Stroud is doing. And
Mhm.
he did as a rookie.
I think he's an efficient quarterback that when you need a win, he can get you that win. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like a bridge from the starting quarterback to like the third string quarterback. But
Mhm.
I don't think he's like top 10. When you talk about top 10, we talking about Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, um, Josh Allen, Tua. We talking about those Brock Purdy. I'm gonna put him in there. We talking about those quarterbacks. I don't think he's top 10. I think he's like right at the bridge of like top 12, top 15. You know what I'm saying? But he's a good efficient quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And he made a shitload of money just being a good efficient quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it was like
Yeah,
330 million he made, like from different teams, just having the right agent and being able to stay in game shape. You know what I'm saying? But top 10, like he hasn't gone to a Super Bowl yet. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
he's won. You could win like a game or two in the playoffs with him, but he hasn't taken that team he's been on through the dance to be like, yo, like he's in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's kind of unfair for like the other quarterbacks, like Josh Allen. They rate Josh Allen high. Josh Allen is a good quarterback. Even he has not taken Buffalo to the Super Bowl yet because he can't get past Mahomes. And until you get past the Chiefs, you're not going to like you're not going to be like V1. Even Lamar Jackson got the MVP, and they lost to the Chiefs.
yeah.
So he has yet to take that team to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think Kirk Cousins is top 10. I think he's just a good efficient quarterback that any team could use. Any team that if your starting quarterback goes down, you bring in Kirk Cousins. You know what I'm saying? Until you can get that quarterback, that starting quarterback healthy, or maybe you keep Kirk Cousins around. You know what I'm saying? But he's good for what he do. But I don't think he's a top 10.
Is Joe Burrow a top 10 quarterback?
Yes, because Burrow went to the Super Bowl, even though he lost to the Rams. At least he beat Mahomes. He beat within that group when they talk about Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Burrows. Burrows is the only one to beat Mahomes and go to Super Bowl out of that core because they got the team. You know what I'm saying? Like they have the team. It's just that Burrows can't stay healthy.
Yeah, there's like, until Joe Burrow has proven that he's like on the downside of his career,
Right.
or his playing starts to have diminishing returns to the point where he's no longer, Pro Bowl worthy. He's absolutely top 10.
Right. I agree. They have the team, and I believe Burrows will win a Super Bowl with the Bengals if he can stay healthy. I believe they can get back there. But I don't know how like some of these media outlets grade the quarterbacks and how they feel like, this one is top 10 or this one is top 15 or whatever. You know, Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowl rings with the Giants. They never had Eli in top 10 with the people like Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers never went to the Super Bowl, and somehow he was always rated higher than Eli Manning. How? Most of his career, they either he went to the playoffs and they lost, or they never went. It'd be like, it was like one season where they went into the playoffs where they were like 8-8, and they were like competing with Denver, who had a bad team at that time, and he never went to the Super Bowl, but they always rated him higher than Eli, and Eli won 2 rings. So I don't get their maybe just ESPN. I don't get their ranking of how they go about ranking some of these players.
Now, even if you take into account Eli Manning's leading the league in interceptions for a couple of years, he still won 2 Super Bowls against an all-time opponent.
The Patriots twice. He beat Brady
Peyton
twice.
Manning didn't do it.
He beat Brady twice.
Mm-hmm.
And especially that year that the Patriots were undefeated and everybody had them to win. I'm like, yo, we didn't have them to win. New York had the Giants winning that. And they had Randy Moss.
The Giants were like a wild card team.
Right. That was the season they got Randy Moss and everybody. Oh, Patriots is winning. We didn't have them to win at all. We were picking the Giants. So maybe the whole nation didn't get the memo. We had the Giants beating Tom Brady, but it was like, how do they go about? Eli got 2 rings against the GOAT twice, but they got people like Ben Roethlisberger and Philip Rivers over him, and I never understood that.
Yeah, I think ESPN, especially some of their writers and personalities, it's clear they have biases. No, because the way the way Eli Manning is talked about, you would think that he's like Rain Man that doesn't know what he's doing on the field. He just
Right.
like he just makes magic out of thin air.
But he had a lot of game winning fourth quarter drives, and that drive in the Super Bowl when he threw it to Tyree and Tyree caught it on his helmet, that's like one of the best catches I've ever seen. Because oh my God, if he had just think I think that was like what that would have been like 4th down. If he had missed that catch, Giants would have lost that Super Bowl because the Patriots had came back and they took the lead in that game, and Tyree made that catch, and then Eli throws the touchdown to Plaxico Burress, and that was it. And that was a great play all time. Like that was like the greatness Eli showed. The fact that a dude that was a receiver that had double coverage on him somehow got his hand up and the ball lands on his helmet. And that was a catch officially. That's how they ruled it. And that was just the greatness of Eli. I ain't seen Philip Rivers do no shit like that.
Was the catch did that catch come before or after the 2-minute warning?
I think that was like after the 2-minute warning. I want to say. I think I forgot the minutes that we had. It was down to the wire, and that was one of those classic Eli Manning drives. And he did it.
Yeah, because in order to make that catch and to squeeze it against his helmet,
mm-hmm.
and to keep from turning it over on downs,
right?
It was so critical. And I think did the Patriots have any timeouts?
I want to say they did. I want to say they had a timeout.
Okay, so they had to at least get one more first down,
right?
And the Patriots had to burn that timeout in order to run the clock out. Man, that is that Super Bowl run is nothing short of amazing
It was
because
crazy.
there was so much made about that historical run of the Patriots. Like there was
Right,
already documentaries, that was going to be made about the Patriots going,
right,
19-0, you know, and Randy Moss, he was already, planning his, getting his life story rights to document, his career on the big, like there was so much of that was at stake, and the Giants wrecked
right.
it.
That was that was great. That was one of my favorite Super Bowls, and not just because the Giants was in it, but just the way that it was a close game and it went down to the wire, and then the touchdown of Plaxico was like, yo, that was it. Like once Plaxico caught it, I knew we was gonna win that game. Even with there was time left on the clock and the ball went back to the Patriots, I knew we was gonna win that game. Like just it was just we just had that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Eli was great to me, man. He didn't have to throw for like 400 yards, and he got the job done when it needed to be done, and that's what you want from your quarterback.
What Super Bowl was the Mario Manningham catch on the sideline? That was sweet
That
as
was the
hell.
same one, if I'm mistaken. I'm gonna say that was the
Was
same
that
one.
from 2009 or
I get
2014?
I want to say that was if that wasn't the same Super Bowl, it was the other one when we played the Patriots again.
Okay.
You know, but yeah, that was great. But yeah, I don't understand how they go about ranking some of these quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. But I think Kirk Cousins is a good, efficient quarterback. I think, and you put him on any team, he could win for you. Like he's on Atlanta now. I already heard people saying, "Oh, Atlanta's going to win the NFC South," and they could 'cause it's a weak division. I think their competition is going to be Baker Mayfield and Tampa, but it's not out of the realm to say that like Atlanta could win that division if Kirk Cousins can stay healthy. They got the weapons. I think they could do it.
Yeah. Mike. Mike Evans is going to be even better next season.
Right.
Like because I can see like in Baker Mayfield, he's better than what people give him credit for.
Uh,
Like, uh, he doesn't scare me. As a quarterback, like he's not like his throws isn't something that a quarterback should be biting their nails over because a
right.
lot of times he overthrows,
Hmm.
but he can definitely do enough where that NFC South is going to be theirs for the taking for years to
Yeah,
come.
I agree. I want to ask you something. We're gonna switch to music for a minute. I want to ask you something because something happened today that I
Hmm.
saw on social media, and it had to do with a hip hop page that I know the person behind the hip hop page, and their rankings after all these years got them in some trouble with another artist. The other artist I did a live stream with, his name is Bad Seed. He's underground artist. He did some,
Backseat Brooklyn.
yeah.
Okay.
He had an album out last year called Something Greater Than Myself. He's done an album with Knots in the past, and I fuck with him. He's dope. The page there was a page that they gave a rating to one of his albums, and they said it was trash. And he heard about it, and he like blasted them on social media. He made vids about talking trash about that page, and I stand by both of them. My whole thing was when I talked to the hip hop page, I told them like you, I feel like in this era that we living in now, when it comes to podcasts and blogs and media outlets, a lot of these artists are sensitive to what you say about their project. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
wanted to ask you is like, is it the artist's fault, or is it us as like the hip hop media now in this era? Do we have to um like curtail what we say about a certain artist like project?
I think it depends on what is said in the album review.
Well, he,
If
he said the album was trash. Like he gave it zero mics,
oh,
and it's been a thing for some time with certain artists that he's done. But I'm used to it because I know how he rates his those artists, and I've been in hip hop group chats where the diehard underground boom bap fans don't love a sound from Griselda or a sound from Crime Apple, but they fuck with Gangstar or Homeboy Sandman or whatever, and that's cool. I'm not gonna look at them with a side eye like, oh well, you don't fuck with Griselda, or you don't like, Rock Marcy or whatever. Everybody's different, but the the hip hop page, apparently, like, a lot of artists are mad at him because he's given like bad reviews to like a lot of the boom bap albums that people love, and with Bad Seed he took it personal, and he just went on a rant today about that page. So that's what I'm asking. Like, is it up to the hip hop media and the blogs and the podcasts to, when we talk about these albums, to give our honest opinion, or should we like not say anything at all?
well, people, we have freedom of speech and we have the right to talk about how we feel about a piece of music. Once an artist puts something up for mass consumption,
Right.
people have the right to say whatever they want to say about it. I think there was a better way that Bad C could have, addressed, the guy that gave them, you know, zero, uh, zero mics, and it was trash. If anything, that would have been an opportunity for Bad C to engage him and ask, okay, had you truly listened to the music, what do you don't like specifically about the music? Because a lot of times people will give a cursory listen
Mhm.
only one time and just outright say that it is trash without even giving it an honest listen.
Right.
Like you can get uh sometimes you can get more out of something just by being the first to initiate a conversation.
Right.
Because I you know to say that uh it's trash, like even artists that I don't whose music I don't like, I would never say it's outright trash.
Mhm.
I would say that the music leaves something to be desired, or it's not for me. But to say that it's trash means that it's unlistenable, that it is noise pollution. You know what I
Bro,
mean?
I look. This has happened to me even in the past, where um when it I was on a hip hop page like back in 2018. It's a public hip hop page, so I'm not knowing who was following them. And a post came up about the person put up a post about like top 50 R&B artists all time, like of any decade. They had bands, they had artists. The group Next, you remember Next?
Oh yeah,
Butter
my man
Love, and
KG
right,
produced them.
they were on the list of top 50 groups all time in R&B. And apparently, I said to me, there was other artists on there like Ashanti, Next, Keisha Cole, I didn't feel like should have been on the list. And RL supposedly saw what I had to say, and he took offense to what I had to say. And me and him had a we had a talk in the DM about that and a disagreement, and he actually tried to bribe me to retract my statement. And this is all
Say
true.
that again.
He tried to listen. This
He tried to
he tried.
bribe you.
Yes, and I'm gonna tell you, like this was on a Friday night. I forgot it was like in August 2018. Um, the Saturday, no, I want to say the Friday night. He reposted what I said on in his story. Right, Saturday morning it was gone. I remember going out. There was Fila was having an event like we're coming out with like some new a new clothing line, and I went to that event and I was checking on Instagram. He deleted it. Monday now he does a meme about me, and he was actually on. Shout out to Reg. He was actually on. We did a review on the barge in a special way, and RL he watched that video and he took video from that and made a meme about me, and then he deletes it. But he was pissed off, and me and him had a discussion. He tried to bribe me to say, "I want you to retract your statement, and I will pay you $500. I will give you 2 tickets to the next concert because they were playing in at Foxwoods." And I said no because I felt like Next had one great album. Your first album was great. I told him your second album was outdated, and the only single that came out from that second album was "Wifey." Okay, they were on Arista Records. Clive Davis only gave them money for one video. It wasn't a great album. If you listen to it now, it's outdated. Like a lot of the production sounds 2000ish, right? He had Beanie Siegel, he had 50 Cent on that album, he had Beanie Siegel on that album. It wasn't a great album, and we're not even gonna talk about the third album. Next episode was garbage. Their first album was great, and I felt like when you have groups like Earth, Wind and Fire, New Edition, the Temptations, they should have been on that list. A lot of artists got was not on that list. That top 50 R&B all time, but somehow they made it on that list. I'm like, how? How was Ashanti on this list and Keisha Cole? So he didn't like what I had to say. So we had a talk, and he was telling me, oh, well, I wrote hits for Deborah Cox and for this one. I'm like, I know, I bought those albums. You're not talking to somebody that just woke up yesterday and started listening to music. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, Philip Bailey's my cousin, and I'm like, yeah, I know who Philip Bailey is. He's a legend. Earth, Wind and Fire, they're legends. Your group ain't. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. It's like a lot of these artists get sensitive when the fans speak out, mentioning they name or they work, because I've experienced that already. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that happened today with the Page and Bad Seed, and Bad Seed even in his video he said like, yo, like I want to do a live thing with this person because they're probably from the suburbs and they don't know shit about a real hip hop, and they wasn't around, they wasn't there. And I'm like, yo, like I respect both of these cats, but it's like I don't why are you worried about a hip hop page that's he didn't like your current album? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm pretty sure Beyonce gets haters. She's not worried about them. You don't see Beyonce doing a video about them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure Drake gets a lot of hate. I mean, how many times we hear, oh, Drake is not hip hop? Joe Budden had a big thing about that, and most stuff came out and said what he had to say. And Drake is not going online and doing live streams about these people. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not losing sleep over them. So my whole thing is like, if the podcasting and the blogs can't speak their truth about whatever it is that they heard from these artists, then where does that leave hip hop journalism?
Yeah. And you mentioned several groups that are far more legendary.
And next, yeah. But I mean, in defense to him, he should feel like my group is the best all time. You should have that mentality. But if you're attacking people in a public page because they feel like New Edition is better than your group or Earth, Wind and Fire. That's just their opinion. You can't bribe nobody to change their opinion.
I mean, if you see Cassidy, I'm sure Cassidy thinks that he's better than Rakim.
Right.
But we all know that Cassidy couldn't hold Rakim's pen.
Exactly.
So I think it speaks to their insecurity because there's like I would think like man RL like there's probably a lot more people that feel that you should be top 50 greatest R&B groups like go like you should embrace the people that feel that you are.
Right.
But if what you if what you said truly made you that angry, then that is something that you have to work on
Well,
because you're going to hear that from a lot of knowledgeable music lovers. Like you're going to hear that from from other artists, and they're not going to spare your feelings.
I look. I love Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes to me came from Leaders of the New School. He's one of the best solo artists to ever do it. But that Blockbuster album was garbage. That was not a great album. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, it seemed like Busta was trying to, integrate himself to the newer crowd when the newer crowd need to know who you are. Don't do that for them. They need to go back and listen to, The Coming and ELE and When Disaster Strikes. And I felt like he was trying to fit in with this newer crowd by doing shit with Young Thug and with Coy Lee Ray, and it was just a bad album. And if I listened to it and I said, "Yo, this album is not good. It's his worst album." I'm not gonna front for Busta Rhymes and be like, "Oh, this was such a great album. Let's give it 5 nights."
And one thing that I think I wish would stop is when people say, "Well, we got to embrace the youth. Like the OGs need to stop hating." I think that's the wrong way of looking at it.
Right.
If anything, I think veteran artists need to not get in the way of younger artists, but you don't have to adopt
I agree.
their modus operandi. Like you don't have to do exactly what they're doing.
Right.
Like when when Chuck D fell, when Public Enemy's music fell out of favor in the 90s, when I think was it the album Music to Our Message, did Public Enemy start collaborating with Snoop Dogg or Biggie to stay relevant?
No.
Because it would have no matter how great Snoop and Biggie were, it would have been beneath them because the albums that preceded Music to Our Message, they were great albums because it's what their vision was. It's who they are.
Right.
Like they're from Long Island. They were a DJ crew before they became a rap group. Spectrum City. They were politically minded. They had a lot to say. They weren't scared to say, and they did not kowtow to the industry. And chances are, I'm willing to bet you, let's say Blockbuster, is it Blockbuster?
Yeah.
Let's say Blockbuster would have, been a number one album. They would have won platinum and it would have won Grammys. You think in 10 years people will want him to tour behind that album?
Nope.
Like
it still could listen. There's albums that go multi-platinum and it's still bad when you play them. Like I love Jay-Z, but after Black Album, he wasn't coming out with the best albums. Like with the exception of American Gangster. I thought that was a solid album. Some people say it's classic, but a lot of those other albums, Blueprint 2 was trash. I didn't like that. Blueprint 3 was horrible. He picked the right singles, and that went like what, triple platinum? It wasn't a great album though. You could play
Yeah,
the singles, but like the album cuts, Reminder, and Venus versus Mars, and all those other joints, I skipped over them. I thought they were garbage. Magna Carta, same thing with that. So it's not like we haven't seen albums that to go multi platinum, but what's the replay value of the replay value on them? It's not good.
yeah. Like Jay-Z isn't going to go on the road and perform every song from Magna Carta.
Right.
You can do that for Reasonable Doubt, for the
Hmm.
Black Album, Blueprint, American Gangster, but that's where it ends.
Right.
And I think veteran artists need to realize that what you think you're ingratiating yourself with younger people, but younger people, they're not going to go out and seek your older albums. They're not going to want to follow you on your social media pages to follow your career more closely or to get updates on what you're doing. It just for the moment.
Right.
And,
I want to. I want to
I
read.
think Lil Wayne is doing the same thing.
I want to read a comment. 16 Bar said, "Always give your honest opinion. Everyone hears music differently, but remember, reviews that have been listening to music for over 20 years or so may have a good ear for what's good or not." The thing with this hip hop page is a lot of and I've told him this in the past. So a lot of the reviews that he's done, and he gave it bad reviews. I'm like, what the hell are you listening to? Because I listened to the same album that you did, and you gave it a lower score than I did. You know what I'm saying? And it seems to, I don't know, like that part. I always told him, I'm like, one of these days, these artists are gonna get at you because of your ratings. Because I feel like a lot of the albums that people felt like were classic, he was giving it like a 1 or a 2. I'm like, you're listening to something totally different than what I listen to. You know what I'm saying? I think he has a good ear for music. Even last year we did a like a top 50 best rap albums well, not best rap albums, best albums in general of 2023. So I had some pop stuff in there, I had some R&B, hip hop, some jazz, all that, from different genres. But I just felt like a lot of the albums that I thought was great, he gave it bad reviews. So I can see why Bad Seed was mad. I just felt like was it he was pissed off to the point where he did multiple vids, and I never seen him pissed off at anybody like that to do multiple vids on. You know what I'm saying? So the rating act like really got to him. You know what I'm saying? And he even offered to do a live stream with the dude, and dude is like he don't want to do a live stream with him. So
To me, that's to offer to do a live stream with him. That's giving him more power. Because it's like an ego boost.
right,
Like he hit a nerve, and now you're trying your best to overcompensate.
right. I even
And
offered to be on there with them so I could be the mediator because like I respect both of them. I feel like people's opinion is their opinion. Like you know, I might I always felt like Redman's second album was good. I didn't feel like it was a classic, but people love it. I'm not gonna look at somebody sideways and be like, "Oh, well, you love There's a Dark Side. I can't talk to you." And that seems to
yeah,
be what's been going on within hip hop media that I see. Like even in group chats where we might have a disagreement, people treat you differently because you don't agree with their opinion, and I think that's wrong.
yeah. Not when it comes to opinions about music.
Right.
I can understand that when it comes to certain political views,
Hmm.
because that's a matter of how you want um, certain policies to be enacted, how you want America to govern itself and citizens of this country. Depending on what the policy is, and some things
Right.
are very inhumane. Some things are just unacceptable. I
Right.
can
I agree.
understand people that had disagreements over policies and and even politicians. That's that's definitely understandable, but not when it comes to music. Like, you should be able to have civil discourse,
I agree.
without becoming so uh, angry that you start insulting the other person. You start going out of your way to troll them and do things that are unnecessary to disparage them. I see that all the time, and
Oh
I
yeah.
just shake my head.
And that is the bad part of social media that I don't like, because now, especially with hip hop, we are now hip hop media. There's no more Source Magazine. There's no more rap pages. There's no more Young T Raps, Rap City. We are now all of these podcasts and the blogs, the platforms you see. We are now the hip hop media, and I feel like it's bigger than us, but we have to be the ones to give the flowers to these artists, and the artists need to understand that if somebody has an opinion on your album, it don't mean that they hate you personally. It's nothing personal. It just means that album that you did wasn't for them. It doesn't mean that they hate your guts or they want to see bad for you. It just means that they didn't like your album. And we have to appreciate people's opinions within hip hop culture, and not be because that whole thing with Drake being not being hip hop, that was a whole thing that should have never happened. Just because if Joe Budden feel like Drake is not hip hop, that's Joe Budden. Joe Budden don't speak for you. Joe Budden don't speak for you. You don't speak for 16 Balls or anybody else. And
Mm-hmm.
and it should never be. We shouldn't be tearing down these artists, because without us, who's gonna cover a new album that comes out from a Benny the Butcher or a Bad Seed or a Schoolboy Q. You know what I'm saying? We,
Mm-hmm.
we can't let another person write the narrative for what we created, and that's why I say it's bigger than us. And I'm always grateful for this hip hop community and people within it, like yourself and 16 Bars and many others, and it's all about us, and you know uh changing the narrative when it needs to be changed, and saluting these artists, whether they're old school or new school. Everything is not going to be for everybody. Even back in the day, there was Young MC got hate. A lot of people didn't care
Mm-hmm.
for him. You know what I'm saying? I remember that. But just because Young MC or Hammer was hated on, don't mean that's going to stop me from listening to them. You know what I'm saying? And I think people need to understand that, like, everybody's different. Every artist is not going to hit for everybody. I've heard people in the last couple of years say, "Well, I thought It Was Written is better than Illmatic," and that's something I never heard when Illmatic dropped in '94. But over the years, people feel like the second album was better than the first album. And that's great. I'm not gonna give them a side eye because they like It Was Written more than Illmatic. That's their opinion. You know what I'm saying? And I see too much of that now within our culture, that this, bashing people for their opinions. If everybody had the same opinion, then these discussions would be boring. Nobody would want to watch what we have to say, because you're automatically gonna know what everybody is thinking.
And I think there's a difference between giving a dissenting opinion about an album and criticizing uh, an album or the artist, and doing it at the artist's expense, like to ridicule them or to make fun of them. Like,
Right,
especially like in the case of Joe Budden, saying that no, that was Most Def that said that
right.
Drake wasn't hip hop. But with Joe Budden's critique, I thought it was very surface level,
Mhm.
but he did it, to make fun of Drake, to to try to use him to to be entertaining and be funny and comical. But when you do it at the artist's expense, of course that artist is going to
Yeah,
feel singled out,
yeah.
and they're going to
That's
feel that
something
it's
different. That
personal.
what he's doing, if he's doing that for entertainment, that's something different. I'm talking about like if you don't like an artist, you just don't listen to them. Like I never was a fan of Nelly. I knew his songs, but I wasn't rushing to get Country Grammar or Nellyville. But I'm not gonna side out somebody because they like Nelly. That's just their
Mhm.
preference. Everybody got their own preference. But what Joe was doing was something else. That was like he made it more personal. You know what I'm saying? And which I don't understand because if you're an artist yourself, why not do a collab with Drake and get his audience to know what you've been doing for the last 20 years?
Like I'll say right now that I'm not a fan of Lil Wayne. I
Right,
feel Lil Wayne is overrated,
right,
but I'm not going to disparage other people that are fans of Lil Wayne or even disparage Lil Wayne himself.
right,
There's certain things about Lil Wayne's music that I just don't really find uh, agreeable with me.
mhm,
He leaves a lot to be desired, but I understand why so many people like his music. I understand why he's heralded.
right,
Like if I could understand what makes an artist who they are, even if I don't like their music, I can always, you know, separate how I feel about that artist and still respect other people's opinions about that same artist.
facts. And I tell people all the time, just love who you love. If you're a fan of Drake, then support Drake. If you're a fan of Little Yachty or 21 Savage, support them. Don't feel like you gotta, this whole thing about a guilty. I don't believe in guilty pleasures. I don't, that's like I don't believe in that. I feel like you love what you love, and if you
Mm-hmm.
love these type of artists, then support them. Don't feel like you gotta listen to them in hiding because of what the hip hop community is gonna say. Because I'll be the first to tell you, I supported Vanilla Ice when he first came out. I went to the record store to buy To the Extreme. Okay, that's a true story. I was in middle school when he came out. I supported him and Hammer. But at some point, I realized that Vanilla Ice was not for this culture. When he started jumping the different genres and dreading his hair and then going and doing rock music and stuff, I'm like, you know what? I'm done with Vanilla Ice. And he was coming out with rap shit anyway. But for that one album, I supported him. And people have to learn to be themselves on social media. You love what you love, embrace what you love. Don't feel like because you're in a group chat or you're in, the hip hop community and what people are going to think about you, who cares as long as you love it.
Because
So that's always been my message to people. If you love Drake, then support Drake. If you love Boom Bap, support Boom Bap. It shouldn't be this, oh, well, Drake is my guilty pleasure. I like some of his songs, but I don't really fuck with them around my other. Who cares what they think?
yeah, like, it's almost like high school. Like if you're on Twitter long enough, you'll just read the feed of tweets, and it's grown people that are just taking shot after shot after shot at Drake, and but also giving certain passes for what Drake does, but not hold that same standard to another artist.
Right. Exactly. I agree. And it's only because I feel like, people have their thoughts about Drake, and some people say, well, he bit Fonte's style, and Fonte did it better. Drake don't want no smoke with real MCs or whatever. But I like Drake's early work. I don't feel like he's making the best music like he used to, but he's still going to sell because he is who he is, and he has that audience. And a lot of his young fans have grown up with him over the past decade. You know what I'm saying? So I fuck with early Drake. I like early Drake stuff. I'm not gonna, write him off because he's not making good music no more. Eminem is not making good music at all anymore. And there was a one point when I loved Eminem, he was in my top 5 all time. But he's not that MC no more. And he just came out with I just saw like a new video he came out with today or whatever. He still sound like shit. You know what I'm saying? And we have to be as hip hop media in this culture, we gotta be honest with these artists. Even if they get pissed off to the point where they want to do vids on Instagram and call that person out, that's their business. But we gotta be true to ourselves and tell people like, yo, this album was fire, this album was whack. That is the way it is. And if they feeling so, then so be it.
Yeah, I with Drake, I feel like what he's 15 years in,
Right? Yeah, about just about.
Like whatever inspiration he had early in his career, eventually it starts to dissipate. Like whatever was the uh, external stimuli that inspired him to make the early music that he celebrated for. He's now a mega superstar. Like I see, like like every time you see him, like he is starting a new endeavor, a new business venture.
Yeah.
And I know that I can hear where music is secondary. I can hear where he's making music just to give the marketplace something to buy,
right?
Not necessarily listen to. And to me, there is a difference. Like you can put out an album, but even if they do stream it, are they actually listening? Is it for example, like when you listen to music, there are times where you hear a song and you may listen to it passively, but are you really hearing what's being played? It's like in White Men's Can't Jump when Wesley Snipes' character was arguing with Woody Harrelson's character about Jimi Hendrix, and Wesley Snipes was like, you listen to Jimi Hendrix, but you don't hear.
You don't hear him, right?
And I feel that's the same thing when it comes to a lot of music that is, heard on the regular, whether it's on the radio, whether it's on the charts. I feel like it's music that you just listen to, but it's not music that you want to hear over and over again because it's that good. It's something that it becomes part of your routine because what is contained in that song, it has a certain resonance that you can't get anywhere else.
I agree that's the problem with there's so much music being brought out, swiftly than how it was back in the day, where I don't feel like listeners get a chance to really consume the album. They're not. It's not enough time spent with that one project. Where if a one artist drop an album today, next month they got another album coming out. So you don't get time to digest that recent project that's out because they got another one coming, and then it's like when these people they listen to the album once and they already call it a classic. I'm like, the album just came out an hour ago. Classics are not made every day. If that was the case, everybody would have a classic album. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't give a classic album has to be. It's a timeless album that has to grow with you and society, and how it impacts the artist in that genre. You know what I'm saying? And how it affects pop culture. A lot of these albums are not classic. They're good, but if I hear an album that came out today and I like every track, it don't mean it's a classic album. It means it's a good album. Now, whether or not I go back to it is a different story. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But if you're not going back to that album on a continuous daily basis, then how is it a classic?
And also like it has to like there's some people that will just deem something classic because it fits their personal standards. But just because you hold that album to that standard doesn't mean everybody else will.
Right.
And to me, people should be able to leave some room to let the music be discovered. Like for
Right.
example, there are times when I listen to albums by artists that very few people may truly dig because I feel like once something becomes very popular, you know what
Mm.
happens.
Yeah.
You know, uh, rappers got to rhyme over that beat.
Hmm.
Then once one rapper does it, then 10,000 rappers got to outdo the previous rapper that rhymed over that same instrumental.
Right.
So now you're hearing 10,000 different versions of that song, and you don't even remember the original song.
Facts.
And I like once it becomes formulaic, I just kind of walk away from it. And I'll share with you. There's a
Mm.
album that I that came out in 2018, and I feel this is this artist. Um, if it's not their best record, then it certainly is one uh, that will be something that uh, can be listened to and cherished
Right.
for years to come. And that album is Brooklyn Story by Master Ace.
Oh yeah, that was fire. Him and Marco Polo,
Yeah,
and they have a new one out called Richmond Hill.
Richmond Hill.
Yeah, that was fire.
Is told from the perspective of Marco Polo's
Hmm.
uh, uh, settling from Toronto to the States to begin his career.
Right.
And I truly feel that Master Ace's storytelling and in, in really his lyrical prose is not like any other rapper.
Right. I agree.
Like he's like when I hear Master Ace, I feel like I'm not hearing anything generic. Like I feel
Right.
like only I'm listening to Master Ace, his original thoughts about himself, about his surroundings,
Hmm.
about his family life, about what he sees in the world. If I buy an album from an artist, I don't want to hear that artist's version of what they think I want to hear or what they heard another rapper say, but they want to do it in their own spin.
Right.
Like like Master Ace quietly has made uh, several albums that has been uh, far superior than his debut album.
I
Take a
agree.
look around.
I agree. Definitely. He's
I
come a
mean,
long way since then.
and like if you look at Take a Look Around, he was kind of finding himself because he had what's that song where I like moving. Of course, me and the biz, but there was a
Yeah.
song where he sampled Curtis Mayfield. I got to.
Yeah.
I think I got to was the best song on that album, but that was when he was a teenager. Now, when you listen to
Yeah.
Brooklyn Story, when he's like 50 years old,
Hmm.
he's touching on things like mortality, raising grandchildren, um, you know, wanting to expose his children to museums and certain cultural
Right.
institutions. Like he's more about community, just by listening to his
He
music.
he also touched on being a vegan on Plant Life.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And after that was great for him to like, you know, get personal and talk about his diet now compared to like talking about not eating junk food and staying away from meat and all that and eating more of what the earth made. Because we don't hear MCs talk about their diet. And I love the fact that he did that.
And it's very universal.
Yeah.
Like who can't relate to struggles with their own health.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause,
Facts.
whether you're fit or you're not fit, you still want to make sure that you are uh, at least fit, to live for yourself.
Right.
Because eventually, once the fame, once the glitter goes away, all you have is what you leave behind.
Definitely.
All what you leave behind is what is contained, you know, in the music. It's not
Definitely
it's not going
shout out to the
to.
Locks and Styles P for Juices for Life. I definitely got to go there. I've been wanting to go there for a minute. And they've been doing that whole juicing thing since the 2000s. I remember when they would do like the little like hood videos for like the come up DVD, and they would put like
Mhm.
the actual workers from Juices for Life in the videos with them. So they that's a prime example of like changing their diet. They all changed their diet up and they've been working out. Jadakiss looks great. He lost weight. Styles P as well. Sheik has always been a fitness nut. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely got to go to Juices for Life.
And I feel like the juices. I feel like it's on par with their workout regimen.
Yeah,
Like even back in the day, they had like the DVDs
yeah,
where
Rough
they
Riders,
would
right?
show
Yeah,
Rough Riders workout, where they would show them working out
yeah.
on scaffolds,
Hmm.
doing pull ups and doing push ups,
Yeah,
and they took something that uh, that started as workout regimens that people in jail started to do, but they brought it to everyday people.
yeah.
So you can, even when they're, you don't have to go to a gym and pay a $100 monthly gym fee to work out. You could work out, in
Hmm.
your own room, in your
Yeah.
own house.
At the playground on the monkey bars and stuff.
Exactly. You can
You
make
know.
it fun,
Yeah.
and you can create a regimen that is just as regimented as anything that you'll see, uh, from a fitness instructor, uh, but it'll be from our perspective.
Right. I agree. I definitely. I know I got to do another live stream coming up, so I definitely want to end this now. But as always, it's always great to have you on here, Rocker. We got definitely do more live streams like this, just talking about different things, not even sticking to a topic. Shout out your social media and what you got coming up.
Yeah, no doubt. Like you can catch me at on Twitter and Instagram at Rakabash, RAKABASH. And I'm glad you asked me that, because tomorrow I'm going to hold a Twitter space, and the topic is J. Cole the only MC in 2024 that is competitive in rap music?
Mm,
And that uh, the topic was inspired by a viral clip that's going around of Royce the 5'9" on the Joe Budden podcast, and he was asked about his feelings about rap music in 2024. So when he said that he feels J. Cole is the only MC that's competitive as far as making rap music, he caused a hornet's nest
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people mention Ransom,
I'm
a
about to
lot of
say
people mention
Ransom got to
RJ
be in
Payne,
there. Benny, Conway.
and one of my favorite MCs right now. In my like, there's as much as I love Ransom's album,
Mm-hmm.
there's an MC that I feel is the MVP in 2024 because what he's talking about lyrically is how I feel socially, culturally, and politically. And his name is Locksmith from
Locksmith.
Richmond,
Okay.
California.
Yeah.
So the Twitter space is going to be a discussion on whether people feel that J. Cole is head and shoulders above everybody in the field,
Right.
or are there other MCs that are just as nice as J. Cole or even nicer?
I think he's definitely making a name for that because the fall off is coming out soon. I've been hearing about this album for like the last couple of years. He's definitely making. He's doing a lot of collabs with different people. He's making a case for that. But I mean, I don't want to say that he is the best of 2024. I feel like Ransom has been making music, great music for years, and since he signed with 38 Special, the Trust Group, that he's gotten more noticed. But he's been doing it for a long time. Rhapsody, she's dropping new music. You can't rule her out. Kendrick, he might drop an album tomorrow. You can never rule out Kendrick.
Mm-hmm.
Benny and Conway, they remain the best in Griselda. Benny dropped his album in January. I thought it was dope. People saying it was a classic. I disagree. I think he had better albums than that. Conway's gonna drop something. So it's too early to tell. It's only March, but I definitely feel like J. Cole. People are waiting for this album to drop, and he might be the MVP of this year. Who knows?
Yeah, and the reason why I mentioned that is because like it's almost April, so it's the the quarter mark of the year.
Right.
So if this is like like in the NBA, you have like your MVP favorites,
Mm-hmm.
and that just Locksmith is just like, I know he's not the favorite is Ransom, but as far
Right.
as like who could be like the dark horse, I could see like Locksmith.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Especially when Locksmith, he's about to put out his next album in a few weeks.
Okay.
So I think it's something to be considered because when you mentioned hip hop journalism, if I believe if he would have said that, if Royce would have said that to a journalist, I believe a journalist would have asked, well, who else in the field do you think is just as good as J. Cole? And
Right.
if you feel that there isn't anybody as nice as J. Cole, what makes J. Cole head and shoulders above everybody else? That would be something that that could be substantial and at least support the argument.
I agree.
Because I see a lot of people very impassioned about it.
I agree. But yeah, this was dope. As always, I appreciate you for coming through, everybody else. Shout out to 16 Bars. Y'all go subscribe to his channel on YouTube. He does live streams Thursday nights at 8 p.m. East Coast time. Check him out. That's the homie. Shout out to you, 16 Bars. Shout out to Reg and Mike for coming through. Curvace. Shout out to you. Dark Mouth to subscribe. Sam. Salute. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm doing a live stream with Daniel Otero. He's a movie collector. We're talking movies and movie pickups that he's gotten recently. I'm gonna do that on Instagram, maybe 8, 9 o'clock. So check in if you're on Instagram and you follow me. Check that out. And I'm gonna definitely be back on here more often. I know I've been slacking on my channel, but I'm gonna be back on here more often. And Rocco, you welcome back anytime. Anytime you wanna go live, just hit me up. We definitely go live. 16, I would definitely want to do more live streams with you as well. So salute to you.
We definitely need to do this more often because you're like the good luck because my Pistons won. Can you believe it? We won 3 out of 4 games for the first time in 2 years.
They hot right now, yo. Cade Cunningham doing his thing.
Yes, like maybe we can make it, 5 out of 6.
I got James Wiseman on my team, on my fantasy team, and
Nice.
I was thinking about picking up what's his name, Amen Thompson.
Yeah,
because he's good and he plays different positions too. So yeah, go Pistons, man.
You may want to pick up Jalen Duren.
He's not available. There's somebody picked him up.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, most of them remain available. Like Wiseman was available because he's not starting, so I got him off of the waiver wire. And I know Amen Thompson is on the waiver, so I might just drop him. So I might go pick him up. And go Pistons, man. They're not the worst team in the NBA. They're not.
Yeah, thankfully, I believe it's Washington. That's the worst.
Yeah, they're bad.
So we still might get that number 1 draft pick. It just won't be so obvious now.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
All right, G.
All right, man. Salute.
I enjoyed this.
No doubt, man. Hit me up.
No doubt.
All right.